Welcome to our tutorial on WASP3D Designer, a powerful software tool that offers an intuitive and user-friendly interface for designers. This tool allows you to create complex animations and graphics with ease. In this tutorial, we will navigate through the user interface of WASP3D Designer and learn how to create animations, graphics, and visual effects for television and live broadcasting. We will cover the interface, explain how to stencil using the group opacity node, use the text presets, templatize the scene by creating forms for data entry, and finally, display the graphic on the server. Let's start with the Home tab. It houses recent WASP templates and local scene graphs. WASP templates are saved on the kernel controller, and local scene graphs are stored on local drives. You can search for templates in the Search Template area and open them in the Design tab. Moving on to the Design tab. The Viewport is the render area. The menu bar contains commands and tools for creating a new scene, saving scenes, and undoing or redoing actions. The toolbars include built-in 2D and 3D primitives, options for importing from third-party software, and advanced features like particle, bevel, spline extrude, and blast to help create complex designs. The material editor hosts the materials used in the scene. The texture pool contains the buttons for all supported texture types to import or insert and apply on the object. The panel header has buttons to create different types of materials such as standard, uniform, particle, etc. The hierarchy window lists the objects in the scene, organized either in group-based or parent-child-based hierarchy. As an example, we will create a name band template. This template highlights a range of features such as opacity map, timeline controls, 3D text, and others. We will be replicating the same design and functionality as we progress through this tutorial. To create a primitive, double-click on the Tool button or single-click on the object to work in draw mode. Each tool button supports up to 8 object presets. To modify the rectangle width and height, go to the Parameters panel. Chamfer the corners. By default, all corners are linked. You can choose to unlink the corners and modify them individually. We can transform selected objects using keyboard shortcuts W, E, and R to toggle between translation, rotation, and scaling modes. Axis constraints can be applied with X, Y, or Z buttons. To return to default values, right-click the spinner button. You can reposition the object according to your design. To color the rectangle, we can either drag-drop any color from the Color Swatch panel or use the Fill Color property in the parameters. Right-click on the color in the swatch to change it. Or select the color and use the color picker to select it from the screen. Customize your color swatches and save them as favorites or as a file for future use. Double-click the 3D text icon to create a 3D text object and reposition it. And press F11 to open the text doc. Use RTF text to apply various text format properties such as changing fonts, colors, size, italics, underline, and highlighting. Apply and continue. To create a line, double-click on the line object and turn off the arrowhead. Adjust the outline width, position, and rotation. To create a copy of line 1, press and hold Ctrl and drag it. Select both lines in the hierarchy, right-click and select the Rename command. Specify the name of the selected objects. Set the base number to define the starting count for renaming the objects. Drag the color from the swatch panel and drop it onto the outline color property to change the color. After a few tweaks and adding some text, our layout is ready. Now let's animate the objects. Press F7 to display the Track View panel. Select the object you want to animate, enable Auto Key, and on the preferred frame add keys. Manipulate visibility. You can copy-paste the animation from one object to another. Let us provide a brief overview of the tools available in the Track View. Default, it is the scene's timeline. It contains all the objects of the scene with their interrogatable tracks. User can optionally filter the view by using Filter mode. When selected, this option allows you to display only the tracks of objects that are currently selected. When animated checked on, only shows the tracks of objects which are animated. User can filter the objects by their name. The filters provided in this area apply to objects and materials by their name. In the Key Info tab, control the keyframe properties and values of the selected frame. Keyframe values can be edited from within the track view, and depending on the interpolation method selected, any additional properties like Bezier curve handles can also be edited within the same interface. We've applied some fundamental animation to the lines and baseband. Next, let's move forward and discover how to integrate preset text animations into our designs. Select the designation text object and open the text animation panel by pressing F11. Then, go to the Preset tab in the Text Animation panel. This tab allows users to apply pre-made text animations to their text objects. Hover over each thumbnail to preview the animation style of the preset. Click on the preset and the Apply button to apply the animation to the selected text object. You also have the capability to manipulate the key elements of the presets. Press Ctrl+ Home to cue the scene, and then press Ctrl+ Space to play or pause the animation on the track. By this time, the animation of all the objects is done, and we will add the opacity map. Opacity node feature allows us to apply static or animated masks to a group of objects. To start, create a new rectangle and adjust its width and height. Then create multiple copies of the object by holding the Control key and dragging the selected object to a different position. Once we have adjusted the number of copies and translation, we can group them by pressing Ctrl+G. To adjust the pivot of the group, turn off the Freeze Pivot option and then set the pivot accordingly. And position the group where we want it. Duplicate the rectangle and position it to mask out an additional area. Now we can use the opacity maps to create a text reveal animation. Select the text group, click on the opacity node in the parameter panel, and choose the previously created opacity map group. Repeat for the other text group. Enabling invert opacity for a reversed effect. Finally, cue the scene and play the animation. The designer timeline offers various actions such as pause, go to, play, and reverse, which allow users to control animations for objects, timeline, scene events, data events, and hardware triggers. Actions are crucial for scene functionality. Adding a pause key on the timeline enables users to pause and resume the animation at a specific frame. To achieve this, right-click on the default track and select Pause Infinite to pause the timeline. Users can also double-click on the Pause Control key to open the Action Control window and select the pause action, disable the Infinite option, and specify the pause interval. Multiple actions can be added in one action key by including them in the action stack. After making changes, users can click on the Update button to apply them and add a duration pause on the default track. Adding a reverse action triggers the out animation, and since the pause key is created in the forward direction, it will be skipped when the reverse key is triggered to play the timeline in reverse. Now let's create a data entry form for the user to input data into the graphic template. Press F8 to access the variable sheet. Drone Designer's variable sheet has options to connect templates to databases, files like Excel and Google Sheets. Users can create custom tables with UDT and use specific data variables to connect with relevant parameters. Click on the variable, choose WString, and select the text you want to link it with. Next, link the variable to the name text by dragging it onto the text parameter in either the Viewport or the Hierarchy panel. Select Wire to complete the process. Repeat the same process for the other text objects. Now go to Properties and select RTF. In the RTF panel, configure the font, size, color, and other settings. The same adjustments have been applied to the designation text as well. Now let's move to the Form tab. The Form tab in the Drone Designer interface enables users to create data entry forms, which allow for data to be entered into the template instance. Variables created can be found under the User-Defined Variables tab, where double-clicking on name text will create a simple form with RTF controls. In the right side panel, properties such as font, text size, and text length can be changed, along with choosing between drop-down style and embed mode for how the RTF UI should appear in forms. The user tag parameter shows the variable name that is visible and selected, which can be used to connect multiple variables to one control. By enabling the user tag value, the value entered in the respective variable will be the default text of the control. The form can be rescaled by clicking and dragging it from the bottom right corner. Click Save Template or press Ctrl+Shift+E. Now let's play the template in Sting Client. Start the Sting Client and create the playlist. Give it a name. Select the playlist type. Go to Template Pool tab. Navigate to the location where the template is stored and drag and drop the template into the playlist. Double-click on the template to load. Now let's play the template in the server and check. Enter the data. Give it a slug name and update. While this overview introduces the Drone Designer interface and template workflow, there's a lot more to explore. We'll delve deeper into these topics in upcoming tutorials.